What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Yes, back to another YouTube video. It is your boy XFG Live, aka X Flocko God. And today we're gonna talk about why does time feel like it's moving faster now compared to 10 years ago. To be honest, man, there's a lot of different theories that people touch upon when it comes to that topic, and I feel like a lot of people could definitely say the same, that time nowadays feel way faster than usual. Like, be honest, like, doesn't time feel a little bit more faster than it was 10 years ago, or even 20 years ago if you was alive for that long? You know what I'm saying? Well, it all comes down to the fact that the feeling that time is accelerating as you age is a well-documented psychological phenomenon. If you feel like 2016 was just a couple years ago, well, buddy, I have to tell you, that was 10 years ago. While 2006 feels like a different century, you're experiencing a mix of biological, psychological, and modern lifestyle factors. You know, all that different stuff. Especially with like how the past 6 years, like after 2020, like Corona and like the pandemic, everybody was just in the crib, looking at streams or TikToks, you know, doom scrolling, shit like that. It's a lot that goes into it, for real, and I'm here to talk about it, you know, or at least give my thoughts on it. You know, this is my first attempt on making a video that's a little bit different than anything else that's on my channel. So if you like stuff like this, make sure to hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot more coming in. I just got out of YouTube jail, and stuff like that is just pushing me to make better content and more content, different types of content, you know what I'm saying? But let's get to it, man. When you are young, right? Okay, the first theory that we're going to talk about is the first time memory effect. When you are young, everything is a new experience, you know, like your first day of school, or learning how to drive, or even on your first job. You know, like, your brain processes novel information deeply, and it's just always creating these markers within your timeline called time markers, or that's what I like to call it. It's like different moments within your life. And as you get older, life, you know, like, life often becomes more of a routine. I know a lot of people could definitely agree with that. It's just like when your brain encounters a predictable schedule, like the same commute or work task, like you're going to school the same route every day, or you're going to work the same way every day, you know, or you go chill with your friends at a certain time of the week every day, or I mean every week, you know, and it stops recording detailed memories to save energy. I'm talking about your brain, chat. When you look back at a week where every day was the same, your brain compresses it into a single memory, making the time feel shorter, which is why it gives off that feeling that not much is really going on, you know, or like the whole week was a blur. I know some of you guys could definitely relate to that, saying that, like, oh, okay, a week has gone by, I could barely remember it, or it just flew. Like, where has the time went? And it's honestly just, I feel like as you get older, just the tasks over life and just your mundane everyday errands, or the stuff that you do growing up, whether it's playing sports outside or playing video games every day, or, you know, like, I feel like that just starts to become more and more, like, you just start to get used to it, you know? And I don't know if anybody else could agree with me on this, but after finishing school, like grade school, that's when I felt like time started flying. Like, that's when I felt like time really started to accelerate. Like, after I finished high school, that was when I felt like time started to accelerate at ×2. Like, you know how on like a YouTube video you could put the playback speed to like ×2, and the video just goes way faster, and you could finish the video quicker than you normally will. It's the same effect. That's how I felt, you know? And I feel like some of you guys could feel the same way too. And that's just the first theory, where it's just, as you get older, life often becomes a routine, and the more and more you do the routine, it just becomes, you know, just point A to point B. It just goes straight to the next memory. And sometimes the memories become foggy as compared to like memories from like 10 years ago, or like when you was a kid, when you was first doing those activities for the first time, and it felt very fresh. And again, chat, I do apologize if I'm taking a while to get through my points, because I'm kind of doing this live while I'm playing the game. This is not a pre-recorded gameplay. But back to the topic, man. That's the first theory, which is the first time memory effect theory. I would like to say that that's like the main theory to go with for real. And we're about to move on to the next theory, as you see me shooting these zombies with the worst gun ever. Is this the worst gun? I don't know. But let's get to the next theory, man. The next theory is proportional theory. This is a mathematical way of looking at time perception. At age 5, 1 year is 20% of your entire life, which could feel like an eternity. Literally, it could feel like a fucking century. Once you're at the age of 25, let's say, which 1 year is only 4% of your life compared to 1 year being 20% of your life at age 5. As you age, each new year just represents a smaller and smaller fraction of your total experience. Deadass. So that's why it just makes it feel less significant and faster moving, you know, because like as you get older, it's just the experience, like it just starts to shrink and shrink into these micro sizes of moments onto your timeline. That just happens as you're just experiencing life as you're growing up. And I just feel like it makes sense. Like, you know, like when you're at age 5, there's only so much that you know. There's only so much that you've experienced compared to like age 15 or age 25, you know. Age 15, you kind of got the hang of things. You mostly know like the basics, you know, a little bit of intermediate stuff of life, you know. But once you hit 25, it's like, okay, you already seen a lot that has to offer, but you haven't seen everything yet. But at age 25, life can start to feel like a blur. And this is where it's crucial to really just take the time to just look around and be aware. We're gonna touch upon that in the next topic or two, for sure. Not topic, but the next theory or two. Where the third theory is just slower brain processing. Recent studies suggest that as we age, the rate at which our brains process visual information actually slows down. So think about it. Younger brains out there perceive more frames per second of reality, much like a slow motion camera. But older brains, as neural pathways mature and degrade, it takes longer for signals to travel. So think about it like this. Like, you know how like a young person could be cracked at Fortnite, but an older person might have a harder time like building and shooting the players, running around, jumping, and they might have a slower reaction time because they're a little bit older. Like, take for example like Ninja and Clix. Now I know Clix is getting a little bit older now, but what I'm trying to say is like professional gamers that are younger actually have more faster reaction time, and they're able to see more frames per second compared to somebody that's more older on the spectrum. Shoot, just think about it, man. Like, ooh, I died. But yeah, just think about it. Like, a younger brain compared to an older brain, I feel like the younger brain would be able to process everything much more like in like a slow state compared to like an older brain where they see everything happening fast and things might just pass by them. Or, you know how people say life just starts to pass by them? It could be said the same way with like playing Fortnite. Like they're trying to focus up and everything is just passing by quickly or something like that, you know? Or another way to look at it is you know how like you would watch an episode and like the episode would feel like 5 minutes when really like it was like 18-19 minutes without commercials. But to a kid or a younger kid, they watched that episode and it felt jam-packed. It felt like an hour. Nowadays we need to watch hour-long episodes on Netflix to really feel like fulfilled or something like that, or to really get that dopamine watch effect. But that's the third theory, chat, where slower brain processing is a thing. Now the next theory is the digital time drain, quote unquote time drain. Compared to 10 years ago, the way we consume information has changed drastically. The rise of short form content such as TikTok, Reels, Shorts, and quote unquote infinite doom scroll mechanics has two major effects on our lives. One, information overload. Your brain is bombarded with so much data that it just fucking poops and struggles to create distant anchors for memories. Which means because you're overloading your brain with so much information that your brain struggles to like really like make pinpoints of crucial parts that happened that day, or even like that happened that week, or certain things that was subtle that probably happened that you probably forgot about, because you overload your brain with so much information. Now, it could be useless information, it could be useful information. I don't know what people watch, you know, everybody has their own feed, everybody watch their own stuff. That's a whole nother topic of debate. But another point is the flow state. Engaging with highly stimulating digital content often puts the brain in a flow state where you lose track of time, and leading to the, yo, where the fuck did the 3 hours go? Like, the last 3 hours, where did it go? Y'all know that feeling. You know that feeling where you just start scrolling a little bit, you know, 5 minutes pass by, you're still scrolling. Next thing you know, 25 minutes pass, and then next thing you know, a whole hour and 20 minutes is blown by, and you're sitting at your desk looking like, yo, what just happened? Like, it was 8 o'clock, now it's 10:30. Like, what the fuck? And that has to do with the digital time drain, you know. And that's a whole nother topic too, where social media is designed to just keep people locked into just scrolling content every day, and just, you know, engage and interact with videos and information that the internet may think is useful to them, or things that they would want to see. Let's see, how do I throw a grenade? Oh yeah, there you go. But yes, that is the fourth theory, the digital time drain, you know, especially with this day and age with social media and YouTube and everything, influencers and just brain rot content. That is a very strong contributor to why it feels like time is moving fast. That could be it one day, you know. No, that could be it, you know. Now, before I go into how to slow down the time, how to give some recommendations, you know, some of my pro gamer tips on how to slow down the time and hit that Franklin drive special. You know when you playing as Franklin in GTA, and then you hit the special ability, and then like you just slow down time to drive. I'm gonna give y'all some tips on that. So look, before I get on to that, right, I'm just gonna quickly summarize every theory that we went over. The first one being the first time memory effect, and the second one being the proportional theory, the third one being the slower brain processing, and the last one being the digital time drain. First one is just the first time memory, is where you experience your first actions for the first time, and it just feels vivid, and every second is just long, like you feel every second of it, you remember every second of it, you know, like the first time you rode a bike, all of that. And as you get older, the routine becomes mundane, and then you just don't really remember some of like the basic stuff anymore. And then the second one is the proportional theory, where, you know, mathematically, if you're 5 years old, you only lived like 1 year is 20% of your life, and 10 to 20 years later, 1 year would really be 4% of your life. So it's like each new year represents a smaller and smaller fraction of your total experience, making it feel less significant and faster moving. So yes. Now we're moving on to the third theory. Just quickly re-summarizing this, the slower brain processing, where it's like if you're younger, you just have more faster reaction timing, and you're able to grasp everything that's going on, and like to you it may seem a little bit at the right time, or a little bit slowed down, so that you could quickly like analyze everything in real time, compared to an older individual who may have a slower reaction time, might miss certain cues and certain things that happen in visual, like, you know, like with the eyesight and all that, and it may process in their brains a little bit slower, and it may feel like they might not be able to catch everything that's going on, which makes things feel like a blur. And then the last one just being the digital time drain, you know, social media, TikTok, brain rot, all that type of stuff. Now the fourth one is just what informational overload, and then the flow state. Now, to slow down time, some of my suggestions to slow down time. Okay, I don't even know how I'm gonna get out of this because I got no ammo, but this is gonna be fun. Here are my suggestions, man. If you want to make the next decade feel longer, like the next decade of your life right now feel longer, the best strategy is to break the routine, break the chain, break the cycle. So like if you're somebody that tends to scroll on the phone a lot, and you give up a lot of hours just being on social media looking at content, why don't you break that, you know? Why don't you take out the time to like, instead of doing that, oh, I just died. Instead of doing that, why don't you put that time into traveling, you know? Go outside, take a walk, you know, like go to the basketball court, play some hoops, or go to the tennis court, or go for a jog, or just go to the store, you know? Like traveling to new places, trying out new foods, or learning a new skill too, that's a really good one, is what completely takes you out of your comfort zone. New experiences forces the brain to record more detail, and it allows you to really reset and feel fresh in your life. That is a really good one, chat. That one will really help out. Like if you feel like things is just flying and like time is just moving fast, try out some new things. I promise you, like time will start to slow down because you're experiencing something that you don't really experience on a day-to-day basis. And another one is practice mindfulness. You know what I mean by that is pay attention. Be active, be aware, look around your surroundings. Take a deep breath and actually look around. Like put down the phone and look around. Like what do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? How do you feel? You know, these are things that you should really ask yourself from time to time. Seriously, like if you want to get out of being an NPC, this is what you have to do. It will literally, it's just helpful. Like I think it's even more healthier too if you sit there and like reflect on what's going on around you at least 2 to 3 times a day. I promise you, like it will prevent your brain from switching to quote unquote autopilot. And you know when your brain is autopilot, I don't need to really explain the autopilot feeling. It's just when your brain is just going on its own and you're not really thinking too much and you're just doing without really thinking, you know, which is pretty good when you're doing something productive, but it's not good when you're not doing something productive like doom scrolling. Now another one I can say is reduce passive consumption. Swapping an hour of scrolling for an hour of engagement, active engagement, like a hobby or a conversation with a friend, creates a more distinct memory for your brain to hold on to. And this is what I was touching upon on the first topic, where it's like, yo, instead of scrolling for 2 hours, why don't you go outside for 2 hours? Why don't you hit up that friend that you haven't hit up in a week? See what he's doing or see what she's doing, you know? I promise you, even just a small phone conversation that lasts for like 30 minutes to an hour would still be way more meaningful than just scrolling through TikTok or you know, YouTube, Instagram, stuff like that, or all of that type of nature, you know? Or even just going outside to explore a new hobby or partake in one of your favorite hobbies that you don't really get to do as much nowadays because of life or things that get in the way or school, you know? And another one that I can say is like, don't be afraid of change. You know, like if you want to make time feel slower but you're in your comfort zone, you know, you don't really go around too much, or you don't really change your routines that much, or you don't really do much of anything besides the normal things that you do in your life every day, time is gonna feel very fast. Time is gonna go by very quickly. But if you change that around and you do something new, completely new, I promise you, time will start to feel a little different. Things will start to feel a little bit different. And a lot of these things could really help for other things in life. May not have to necessarily just be time itself. It could also be just positivity and how you're feeling mentally and spiritually. You know, these things help with that. It do. What's another thing that I can touch upon? Like seriously, chat, like let's be honest here. Like I know I'm not the only one that feel like time has been moving very fast lately, and we need to do something about this, you know? We need to take our time back, because it's always been here with us. Time has always been here with us, you know? We've just been changing our routines and changing the way that we live throughout the years. And now with social media going crazy and technology going crazy and AI going crazy, starting to do the work for us and starting to replace jobs and stuff, like we need to take back what makes us alive again. And making sure that we use our time wisely is what's gonna make time feel slow again. Now, if you made it this far to the video, man, thank you so much for watching. I apologize for my whack Dombey gameplay. Like, this is literally live, real time. Like, you know, like I'm not talking over a gameplay. Like, I literally just threw this on and just decided to talk, you know? Like, literally just decided to talk, for real, for real. And I just want to say thank you, you know? Like, if you really enjoy these type of videos and you want to see more, man, definitely hit that thumbs up button. It really helps out. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to tune in to more of these type of contents. It would really help the channel, man. I just got out of YouTube jail. I got off of a community guideline strike. I will be talking more about that and like how I got a strike. like a week ago, but I'm good now. I could post, I could upload, and I'm just excited to be back on the platform, man. Oof, that was crazy. Hey, look, we just got the Thompson. You know what I'm saying? It's a W video. You know what I'm saying? At least we made some progress. But yes, it is your boy XFG Live, aka X Flacco God, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. I'm gonna let the gameplay play out for a little bit. Let's get this nuke, and I'm out here, man. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Take care. Stay hydrated, and make sure to appreciate everything around you. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and appreciate what's around you and what you have right now. Hey!